Hey, welcome back to Square Body Stuff. I'm Chad, and we're still plugging away on old Squeaky here. For those of you that might be new to this channel, old Squeaky is my 78 C10 short bed. He's got a step side bed for him. I've been playing around with this truck, taking him to drag races. I built a 305 or played around with 305. Now I'm stroking it and doing all sorts of cool stuff up front. But right now we're working on the rear end. I've got a 14 bolt full floater in the back of it with disc brakes, and done an axle flip. And right now I think where I left off on the last video was I was getting ready to do shock mounts, trying to figure that out. And I'm also going to I need to do the brake lines back here, and then take it back out, weld everything up, make it good and solid, stick it back in, then I could be done with the rear end of this and start up front. Also, last video I put on some extended, these are four-wheel drive spring hangers to get the back end actually raised back up from where it was, because it was too low. Go catch that video, see what I've done there. And then, but right now we're working on these shocks. I've got this side tacked on where I want it. I found some of these guys I had laying around. I actually had to machine them down because for the lower end it's got the steel sleeve inside of it, and with the steel sleeve out of it, these were too small and it'd flop around. But with the steel sleeve in there, it was too big, so I just stuck them on my lathe, machined them down a little bit to where they would fit those steel sleeves. It's on the lower side of the shock. I done some measurements, and with this shock completely compressed, I think it was at 14 inches eye to eye, and right now where it's sitting at is 18-ish, and it'll be a little bit lower whenever I put the bed on it. But I've got about, where it's sitting right now, I've got about 4 inches, 4.5 inches or so from the axle to the frame. So with the shocks at an angle, they won't compress the full amount that the axle's going up, because that's how geometry works apparently. So I've got enough travel on my shocks, or the shocks aren't going to bottom out. The axle will hit the frame before the shocks bottom out. And that's where I'm at right now. I've got this side tacked on. I'm going to tack this side on to these these plates. And once I get that done, I will pull the axle out, and I still got to weld the perches, which they're just tacked on right now. I've got my pinion angle set and all that good stuff, so I need to weld these up, weld these guys onto those plates, stick it back under here, and then start on my brake lines. I've got still got to do the hard lines from the center out to the calipers. I'm not going to do anything with the emergency brake right now. This axle does have brand new emergency brake shoes in it, but I haven't tried to figure out the cables yet. That's probably going to be way on down the road, not anytime soon. So I necessarily don't really need an emergency brake right now. But that's where we're at and what I'm going to be doing. So I'll set some cameras up and get busy. Now I got everything welded up. Got my spring purchase welded on. Didn't come out too awful bad. I'm a little rusty. And my shock mounts came out okay. So I'm gonna let this stuff cool off for a little bit. I don't like getting burnt, so let it cool off. Sounds like we might be getting some rain, so that'd be good. Kind of cool off the air a little bit. It's a little sweaty in here. At least I'm a little sweaty, but let this cool off. I'll get it back in here and get everything all set back up. Then I'll be back with you when we start doing the brake lines. And just, I mean, it'll just be like that for you guys. All the brake lines are done. Maybe not the most beautiful thing in the world, but they're done. I got some piece of rubber hose to protect it from getting all chafed up. And we got the proportioning valve replaced with the adjustable one. That was a little bit of a chore, so I didn't film any of it. It was kind of rough. It took quite a while because I had to change some fittings, move some lines around, but I've got my brake lines up out of the way, away from the headers now. It'd be nice to have kind of a heat shield or something, but I may do that later. And got the brakes bled out. I had my beautiful assistant come out and pump the pedal for me, so all the brakes are bled out, ready to go. Got a good firm pedal, should be ready to stop. Now I just need to work on getting it to go. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me again, catching up on the progress of old Squeaky here. He's coming together. May not be beautiful or perfect, but he's gonna be fun. That's the main thing, and I'm having fun doing this. So yeah, I've got quite a bit accomplished in the last few days. Rear end's pretty much done, other than a couple bolts I need to replace. Those grade 5 bolts, need to replace them with grade 8s. And a couple other odds and ends to kind of finish up on it. Front end, I got the brakes and everything done. So I think my next step is going to be figuring out what I'm going to do with this, the exhaust. Because I keep thinking about it, and I'm just itching to do something with it. So we're going to figure out something to do with this exhaust, so I have some full exhaust, and maybe some turnouts too to uncork whenever I want to play a little bit and be loud and obnoxious. But should be fairly straightforward and fairly simple. I'll go ahead and drop my fuel tank. Doing the exhaust will almost force me to go ahead and take my fuel tank down and put my fuel cell that I've got. I wasn't sure if I was going to get that done before I went to Sykeston or not, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. That way I can get this tank out of the way and run my exhaust the way I want to, or at least get it usable. It may not be exactly the way I want it, because I do think eventually I'm going to come up the back of the cab with some stacks, but that can wait. Main thing is I just need to put some sort of a exhaust on there to make it tolerable to drive. So I think that's it for now. Again, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you made it this far, you probably may have already done it. Hit the like button, ring the bell, do all that good stuff. Till next time, keep your square body trolling. We'll catch you later.